Hey, it's fall, y'all. And fall happens on the autumn equinox, usually between September 22nd and 23rd, right? Wrong. Fall starts when Starbucks releases its pumpkin spice latte coffee, and you know it.
I'll have a Trenta no foam 5-shot half cap, no foam pumpkin spice latte with no foam at 210 degrees.
And with 52 grams of carbs for a medium size, and who has a medium size anyway, it's just not gonna work for your keto or low carb lifestyle. I usually drink black coffee, but I love to have a good pumpkin spice around this time of year. So I had to come up with a keto and low carb version that everybody could have that's not gonna completely blow your diet out of the water. Today on Southern Keto, I'm gonna show you my recipe, not only for the hot one, but because it's like 97 million degrees here in South Carolina, I'm also gonna show you how to make the iced version. So even if fall comes a little bit earlier than it's supposed to because of Starbucks, you can have your pumpkin spice latte and drink it too. Stick around. Hey, Starbucks has really got a good thing going with their pumpkin spice latte. The lines are out the door. People are posting all over social media with them with their pumpkin spice lattes. And I wish the cups were x-ray so you could see that half of the cup is sugar. So I'm gonna show you how you can make it. You can drink it with no guilt. And I've heard from multiple people that it's even better than the original. So let's get in the kitchen. I'm gonna show you what you need to put together this keto or low carb Starbucks pumpkin spice latte. Let's go. Now before we can make a keto Starbucks pumpkin spice latte, we gotta make a keto pumpkin spice syrup. So the first thing we're gonna need for that is 1.5 cups of Magic Baker blend or whatever your favorite keto sweetener is. I definitely recommend a blend like that for the most balanced flavor. The next thing we're gonna need is some water. You're gonna need 1.5 cups of water. The next thing you're gonna need is 6 sticks of cinnamon. Now I get these at Sam's. This is the Saigon cinnamon. It has a great taste, but if you can't find that, just get whatever kind of cinnamon sticks you can find or whatever you already have on hand. Then you're gonna need a teaspoon of ground cloves, because this is not pumpkin, this is pumpkin spice, so we gotta add in some spice. The next spice you're gonna need is some ground nutmeg. Now you can use fresh grated if you want. You'll probably use half the amount if it's fresh grated instead of dried, but hey, do whatever you like the best. The next thing you're gonna need is a teaspoon of the ground ginger. And if you want it to taste like pumpkin spice, don't leave out any of these spices. And then the star of the show is the pumpkin puree. We're gonna use 1/4 cup of pumpkin puree for this recipe, because after all, how can you have pumpkin spice without the pumpkin? Now just make sure when you go to buy this, you don't get the pie filling that's already loaded up with sugar. Make sure the only ingredient on there is pumpkin. See right at the top? Pumpkin. If it's got anything else, don't get it. Now that I've got all the ingredients together, the first thing I'm gonna do is put the water in a medium pot on the stove, and I'm gonna turn that on about a medium heat or so. I'm gonna heat this water up real good, get it to a little boil, and then start seasoning up that water. Now the first thing to add to season up this water is all the sweetener. We're gonna dissolve the sweetener right inside the water, and look at all that smoke. It's not only fall, it's Halloween. And just make sure you stir it up real good so that all that sweetener gets fully incorporated inside that water. Once that thing's boiling proper, it's time to really season it up now. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in the nutmeg, the ginger, and the cloves. Just dump that right on in the pool there. Make sure you stir it up again. Look at how that's boiling up. That thing's getting happy already. And then just go ahead and toss in all those cinnamon sticks. And just when you thought it couldn't get any happier in that hot tub, we're going in with that pumpkin. Oh man, this is gonna be some good stuff. Now just give it a few good stirs, make sure everything's playing together nice in there, and then it's time to let it simmer for 20 minutes. If you want to learn how to make more keto and low carb drinks just like this one, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell next to it. And anytime I do a new keto or low carb drink or any other video, you'll know about it. Now, while that keto pumpkin spice syrup is simmering, that was a mouthful, we'll get the ingredients together for the coffee. Now you're going to need some espresso, but don't let me lose you yet. If you don't have that, I'll show you what else you can do. You're going to need a cup or 2 cups of my keto milk, depending on how much you want to make. And I'll leave the link for that up above and down in the description so you can know how to make it. The next thing you're going to need is some of this pumpkin pie spice. And this is optional because that's just to make it pretty if you want to put some on top of some keto whipped cream. Now this is the 0 sugar ready whip, totally optional as well, but hey, if you're going to go ahead and have a sweet treat, might as well go all the way. And it's keto friendly, see? It says it right there on the label. Now if you don't have espresso or an espresso maker, I would definitely recommend using a really strong coffee like this and brew it as strong as you possibly can because you can only use 2 or 3 ounces of it in here. Now just take yourself a pint mason jar, and I'll leave a link to this and everything else that I use down below. And you're going to need to put a funnel in or a canning funnel with a strainer on top of it, and we're going to strain out this keto pumpkin spice syrup. So just dump that right on in there, and it's going to strain out all the puree and all the solids, leaving just the liquid, which is all we want for this recipe. Now if it's giving you fits or anything and don't want to go through, just use a spoon like this and kind of scrape it along to get the rest of the liquid out. Just coax it through. It's going to make about a full pint of this syrup. Now once it's all strained out, whatever you do, do not throw this stuff away. Stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to show you exactly what you can do with this, but it's absolutely delicious. You don't want to toss it, I'm telling you. Now that I've got that syrup made, I'm just going to take one of those plastic wide mouth mason jar lids that I love so much and put right on the top, and it's going to stay hot while we make the rest. So I'm going to take that same pot that I just made that in, because hey, it doesn't matter, it's all going together at the end. And I'm going to put 1 cup in if you want 1 cup, or if you want 2 cups, which I've got here, which of course is going to make 2 cups of this keto pumpkin spice latte. And you just want to heat it up on the stove until it gets nice and hot. Just stir it every once in a while so it doesn't boil over or anything. You always want to watch anytime you got milk or keto milk on the stove. Now it's decision time if you're making the espresso. Is it going to be a single shot or a double shot? Well, it's never a decision for me. I'm always going to do a double. So I can just take this, I might as well just throw it away. But I'm going to take my double shot of espresso, put it right in there. And your espresso machine may be different, but you can do a single shot or a double shot. But what you always want to do when you're making espresso is just put it right in that little espresso holder like that. And then you got to give it a good tap. Make sure it's nice and tight in there. And if you can hold a little more, it's got a max fill line on there. Just go all the way up to the max fill and then just tap it down until it's packed in there nice and tight. Now I'll go over to the espresso machine and lock this into place. And always double check and make sure it's real nice and tight in there. You always want to double and triple check yourself on these. Ask me how I know. Once it's in there nice and tight, make sure you put a mug up under the bottom to catch this, and then turn on either your double shot or your single shot, depending on what you want to do, and let it do its thing. Did you see that? That was the exact moment I realized it was time to clean my espresso holder. Now it's time to put together this Keto Starbucks Pumpkin Spice Latte. I'm just going to take my espresso, and I'm just making 1 to show you here. I made enough milk for 2, but I'm going to put in 3 tablespoons of this pumpkin spice liquid. Now you can see this makes plenty of syrup for plenty of pumpkin spice lattes, but if you want to make less, if you're not going to plan on having that many, which I don't know why that would be, you can make less if you want to. And why did I use that much milk again? Because I wanted to
double up.
But again, if you just want to make 1, just use 1 cup of milk. Fill it up till it's about 3/4 of the way full. And you see how sad he's looking right there? You know why? Because he knows he don't get coffee. Anyway, we're going to go to the frother. I've got one built into my coffee maker, but if you don't, I'll put a link to one down below that you can use. But you just want to mix this up real good, get that nice foam on the top of it for that perfect pumpkin spice latte look. And then if you want to get real fancy with it, just go right on top with some of that keto whipped cream just like that. Oh man, that right there is the good stuff. And then finish it up with a few taps of that pumpkin spice, and you've got a beautiful keto pumpkin spice latte. Now if it's hot where you're at and you want a cold one, let's check out how to make that. You want to brew your espresso or your coffee and then put it in a cup. Now this is 4 shots of espresso because I'm doing a big old cup full. And then I'm going to take that syrup, same thing, and with this one, because I'm making a double batch, I'm going to put in 6 tablespoons of this. And if you happen to spill any on the counter, please clean up after yourself. Nobody likes a mess. Even if you don't want a double batch right now, I'd go ahead and make a double batch because you can always save some in that jar for later on. So I'm just going to pour in all 2 cups of my keto milk right into this big iced coffee mug. And at that moment is when I realized I didn't have a big enough cup. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and blend it up as best I can. So I'll pour what I got in with the rest of that keto milk, and then I'm going to be good to go. Guess I need to get a bigger iced coffee cup. But now that I've figured that out, I'll just take the whole mason jar over to the frother and froth it up that way. Sometimes you just got to improvise. Now all you got to do is load up with ice and then pour that pumpkin spice latte right over the top. Look how good that looks already. I'm going to finish this the same way. Just a little squirt of that whipped cream like that. And then just a little bit of pumpkin spice right over the top of that iced keto pumpkin spice latte. Enjoy. Oh man, that is absolutely delicious. That is fall, y'all. Now remember towards the beginning of the video when I told you not to throw any of that pumpkin goodness away? Take some bread, either my keto bread or whatever keto bread you have, throw some butter on there and spread it on, and you've got a beautiful pumpkin butter. So pumpkin spice lattes for everybody. Now if you're not a fan of all the spices in this drink, but you still want a great pumpkin coffee drink, watch this video instead. I think you'll like it.